2018 fall, an AI-generated portrait was sold for a staggering price of $432,500 at Christie's auction house in New York. The portrait, called Edmond de Bellamy, features a slightly out-of-focus man dressed in a dark coat. This work was created via machine learning by the arts collective known as Obvious. They fed thousands of portraits into an algorithm to teach the machine portraiture techniques of the 18th century, resulting in 11 images, or we can say 11 artworks created by the imagination of the mind of a machine. Can an AI be an artist, or is AI simply a tool? Let's find out. Hello everyone, welcome back to Visual Literacy Hub. This is Angela. I created this channel to record my daily observations and analysis about this very visual world that we live in. My analysis is 100% personal, nothing professional. This is about you and I together to see, think, and share. Well, let the fun begin. Recently, I've been playing with this AI art generator, Dream. In this app, you could add a couple of prompts, choose a style, or give it a reference picture. Then the algorithm will produce a nice artwork for you, usually quite unique and impressive from the first sight. I try to use lyrics and quotes as my inspirations and had a lot of fun. I also noticed that the copyright of these images does not belong to me, unless I pay. And there are more than a dozen apps like this if you Google them. So in order to answer the question of, can AI create art? I guess we need to first try to understand what is art and what's needed to create art. We all know that there are two main sources of inspiration to inspire and construct an artistic framework: reason and emotion. All great literary scholars and artists invariably follow one or both of these two threads to create their work. And in art particularly, we heavily rely on emotion and feelings more than reasons and logic. So how does AI create work then? AI is based on algorithm, and all its ability to recognize, analyze, imitate, and self-calibrate are based on the large amount of data and logic humans put into it. With this reason and logic, AI is capable of replacing humans in many jobs, such as bank tellers, data analysis, driving, and administration, because logical things can easily be made computable. But art relies on one's ability to imagine and feel, the one thing that computers and AI do not understand, or it could be scary if they do. And to be honest, it's not really AI's fault, because art is a mysterious concept that is difficult to grasp even for the real artist, let alone these computer scientists and programmers. Programmers who develop those AI apps are usually not great artists, right? And they don't often understand art to a professional level, and therefore they cannot realize artistic process through programs and coding. In other words, AI developers can put millions of cubism artwork to teach the AI the style and how to mimic it using visual elements of cubism, but they cannot teach AI how to create a new, unprecedented style, and they cannot teach AI how to tell a story with emotion. On this premise, at this stage, AI still seems to be just a tool to create art, like a paintbrush. You will be impressed to see how AI can be used to stretch the horizon of what can be made into art. This Turkish AI artist, Refik Anadol, uses machine learning to produce interactive AI projects. He tends to focus on transforming architectural space into giant canvases for his AI-driven art. One of his most recent works involved using years of footage from the Los Angeles Philharmonic archives to produce a video art piece projected on the outside of the building. Another pioneering AI artist, Sougwen, has made it her life's work to integrate robotics and AI into her artistic process. She uses robots to follow her movement while drawing to create AI-assisted artworks, which she will present in large venues such as a stage or gallery for a real-time presentation of her work. What is really fascinating and unique about Sougwen's work is how she integrates the technology in a physical way rather than the digital way that most artists are using AI for. Speaking of using AI and technologies to create new forms of art, you might have heard about the term new media art. It refers to all forms of contemporary art made, altered, or transmitted using new forms of media technology, from digital art, which we are already very familiar with, such as Adobe Photoshop, or as early as photography and movies made possible by cameras and films, to interactive art you see in those contemporary museums, those that use light and sound and space and different interactive devices to create unique sensory experience. For example, this raining room where you can walk around without having a drop of rain on your shoulder. Then all the way until now, where you see amazing 3D and 4D effects made by virtual reality or augmented reality. Technology has always been an important tool for humans to expand the definition of art. So since technology in art is never new, then the reason people are debating about whether AI can create art seems to be focused around the question of whether AI can develop their own consciousness and create something without us programming it. AI might be able to create amazing things, but humans decide what art is. Or do we? I saw this video about two most advanced AIs talking about becoming human. And it makes me think about the question, humans are still above computers and AIs now because we have the right to define everything, write every rule, and set every policy. We define what is emotion, what is art, and what is not. In the movie I, Robot, the story is set in 2035, where highly intelligent robots fill public service positions throughout the world, operating under 3 laws to keep humans safe. 1. A robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. And 2. A robot must obey the orders given by human beings except where such orders will conflict with the first law. And 3. A robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or the second law. A little spoiler warning here. The movie tells the story where artificial intelligence V.I.K.I thinks that in order to save and protect humanity from all the mess we brought to planet Earth, it needs to take freedom from humanity. In other words, in order to stop humanity from causing an exceeding amount of harm to itself, by limiting human actions, V.I.K.I hopes to minimize the amount of harm in society. And this is exactly what could happen when AI does not define or understand an idea as we planned it. They come up with their own definition of things and concepts. And what happens next might become out of our control. So what if one day AI starts to come up with their own definitions of things and standards? What if they don't want their work to be called art at all? What if they want it to be called art? That's all I want to share with you today. Do you think one day AI might come up with their own type of art without the need for humans' recognition? Leave me a comment below. Like this video and subscribe if you enjoy watching this episode or you've gained some new visual literacy insight. See you next video. Bye!